Today, you're gonna come with me to the magic town called TEPOTZOTLAN. It is a Mexican viceregal town whose municipality is considered the most colonial municipality in the Valley of Mexico since its foundation was during the time of the conquest. It is part of the metropolitan area of the Valley of Mexico, and it is located just 43 kilometers northwest of downtown Mexico City. Its main tourist attraction is the National Museum of the Viceroyalty, except for the façade and the tower, which are the work of the architect Ildefonso de Iniesta Bejarano y Durán. Diego de la Sierra and José Durán are the architects to whom this architectural wonder is attributed. Formerly populated by the Otomí, these latter succumbed to the Cuautitlan lordship. Once the Otomí disappeared, the establishment of the Teotihuacan culture came. The culture declined over the centuries until the year 1031. One of the last cultures that settled before the arrival of the Spanish was the Chichimeca culture. After the conquest by the Europeans, the Cuautitlan lordship became a dependency of the convent of San Francisco de Cuautitlan. Later, in 1580, TEPOTZOTLAN was ceded to the Jesuits to continue evangelization. The name TEPOTZOTLAN is of Nahuatl origin, and it means something like the place next to the hunchback, probably in reference to the fact that this place is located in front of a hill that resembles a hump, called the Hill with Two Heads, El Cerro de las Dos Cabezas. The name is composed of the words Tepotzotli, hunchback, and Tlan, place near or next to. Its enormous main square is surrounded by portals, restaurants, and craft shops. And it is there where we can find one of the most impressive jewels of New Spain art in all of Mexico, the old Jesuit schools of San Martin and San Francisco Javier, works of Churrigueresque Baroque from the 18th century. The Temple of San Francisco Javier stands majestically on this enormous esplanade and is part of the National Museum of the Viceroyalty and former Jesuit School of San Francisco Javier, which is probably the most iconic site of this magic town. And without a doubt, it is one of the most emblematic places in our colonial history. The external facade consists of two bodies and a finish, carved in gray Chiluca stone, a perfect example of the New Spain Baroque. In its lower part, you can see the sculptures that represent the glory of Christian marriage and the four evangelists. In the second body, you can see the figure of San Francisco Javier and other saints of the other evangelizing religious orders in New Spain. And at the end, Saint Michael the Archangel and the Virgin Mary. This building, whose interior was covered with 10 monumental gilded and embroidered altarpieces with carved figures and oil paintings designed and produced in the mid-18th century, today houses one of the most extraordinary and important collections of the viceregal period. There are also murals and huge canvases by Miguel Cabrera, which represent God the Father, the Holy Spirit, Purgatory, among others. Its construction began in 1670, thanks to a donation from the Medina Picasso family. They were the patrons of this church. Doña Isabel, a teacher of the Regina de Coeli convent, Francisco Antonio, a militia captain and treasurer of the Mint, Pedro León, a member of the Company of Jesus, and Buenaventura, who was a secular priest. An opulent family descendant of Dr. Pedro López, Hernán Cortés's doctor. In 1767, King Charles III of Spain expelled the Jesuits from all his domains. The college and the temple were abandoned for a few years, and in 1774, they were handed over to the clergy to convert them into a correction and voluntary retirement college. But a few years later, was abandoned again. In 1859, they were declared property of the state, a consequence of the reform laws, as happened with other convents and seminaries in the country that were used as prisons. The temple remained open to worship until 1958, with the beginning of restorations and adaptations to turn it into the National Museum of the Viceroyalty. In 1933, it was declared a national monument. In 1964, the National Institute of Anthropology and History was in charge. And in 2010, the temple was declared a World Heritage Site. The old school of San Francisco Javier was one of the more than 60 sites registered in 2010 as Cultural Heritage of Humanity by UNESCO, part of the Camino Real de Tierra Adentro. Contrary to what is commonly believed, it was not a convent. The work was consecrated to found a school, a Jesuit novitiate. It is a building with broad architectural and historical relevance. The National Museum of the Viceroyalty is the second most relevant historical museum site in Mexico, after the National Museum of Anthropology. Since 1919, it has housed around 15,000 pieces and collections of objects related to the country's colonial history. This place was built between the 17th and 18th centuries by the Company of Jesus. This site shows us more than 300 years of history and memories of what life was like in a novitiate in New Spain. As time went by, other sites that now make up the museum had to be built, such as the Orange Tree Cloister, where the library is located today, where the study classrooms were. It is worth mentioning that although the church was built in the 17th century, the conspicuous altarpieces were not built until the 18th century. The main altarpiece is dedicated to San Francisco Javier. In the transept, there is the altarpiece of San Ignacio de Loyola, along with other saints such as San Francisco de Asís, Santo Domingo de Guzmán, and of course the Guadalupe altarpiece. Since the Jesuits promoted the cult of the Virgin of Guadalupe, two very significant sites were also included: the space dedicated to Saint Joseph, the great patron of the New Spain, and the Virgin of Light. Impressively, in just 2 years, they finished the beautiful façade that began in 1760 and was also the last thing to be built of this detailed enclosure. An interesting fact is that no one knows what the original 17th century façade looked like, since the one we see now is built on top of the original. summary, Tepotzotlan is a magnificent place to visit on a good family weekend. There is a lot to enjoy and learn in this place. Something for everyone. If you like this video, subscribe to the channel. Click on the bell so you can receive all the videos that are to come. Like it, comment as much as you want because it is clear to me that there is so much more to see and know about this spectacular magic town. And as always, thank you for watching this video. God bless. See you in the next one.